In the heart of the dense Blackwood forest stood an imposing mansion known as Blackwood Manor. Legend had it that the mansion was cursed, and those who dared to dwell within its walls would be plagued by unspeakable horrors. The tale began with the arrival of the Peterson family. Seeking solace from the chaos of city life, they purchased the mansion with hopes of starting anew. John Peterson, a successful lawyer, saw it as an opportunity for his family to reconnect and rediscover the simple joys of life. As they settled into their new home, strange occurrences began to unfold. Doors creaked open on their own, whispers echoed through the halls at night, and shadows danced in the moonlight. At first, the family brushed off these events as mere coincidences, but as the days turned into weeks, the atmosphere grew increasingly eerie. One evening, as the family gathered for dinner in the grand dining hall, a chilling wind swept through the room, extinguishing the candles and plunging them into darkness. Panic ensued as they fumbled for matches, but before they could relight the candles, they heard a blood-curdling scream emanating from the depths of the mansion. Terrified, the Petersons huddled together, their hearts pounding in their chests. They knew then that Blackwood Manor held secrets far darker than they could have ever imagined. And little did they know their descent into madness had only just begun. As the Petersons struggled to comprehend the horrors unfolding within Blackwood Manor, they found themselves increasingly isolated from the outside world. The dense forest surrounding the mansion seemed to swallow their cries for help, leaving them at the mercy of whatever malevolent force lurked within. Night after night, they were tormented by restless sleep and haunting nightmares. Strange figures appeared at the foot of their beds, their features shrouded in darkness, and whispered threats echoed through the halls, filling the air with a palpable sense of dread. Desperate for answers, John Peterson delved into the history of the mansion, hoping to uncover the source of their torment. His research led him to a grim discovery. Blackwood Manor had a dark past marred by tragedy and death. Decades earlier, the mansion had been the site of a gruesome murder-suicide, in which the former owner had taken the lives of his family before ending his own. Legend had it that their restless spirits still roamed the halls, seeking vengeance on anyone who dared to trespass upon their domain. Armed with this knowledge, John resolved to confront the malevolent presence that lurked within Blackwood Manor. But little did he know, the darkness that had taken root within the mansion had no intention of letting them escape its grasp. Driven by a sense of determination mixed with fear, John delved deeper into the history of Blackwood Manor. His research led him to a hidden chamber in the mansion's cellar, filled with dusty tomes and arcane symbols etched into the walls. As he pored over the ancient texts, John uncovered the truth behind the curse that had befallen Blackwood Manor. Centuries ago, the land upon which the mansion stood had been the site of a witches' coven, practicing dark rituals and communing with malevolent entities. The leader of the coven, a powerful sorceress known as Lilith Blackwood, had cursed the land and all who dwelled upon it, condemning them to an eternity of suffering and despair. Her vengeful spirit, bound to the mansion, sought to claim the souls of any who dared to disturb her slumber. Realizing the magnitude of the threat they faced, John knew that they had to break the curse before it consumed them all. But to do so would require confronting Lilith's spirit and banishing her from the mortal realm once and for all. With a heavy heart and trembling hands, John gathered his family and prepared to confront the darkness that had taken root within Blackwood Manor. Little did they know, their fate had been sealed the moment they set foot within its walls. Armed with ancient incantations and talismans gleaned from the dusty tomes in the hidden chamber, John led his family into the heart of Blackwood Manor. The air grew thick with tension as they descended deeper into the labyrinthine corridors, their footsteps echoing off the walls. Finally, they reached the chamber where Lilith's spirit was said to dwell. The room was bathed in an eerie glow, casting long shadows that seemed to dance and writhe upon the walls. As they entered, a sense of foreboding washed over them, chilling them to the bone. Suddenly, the temperature plummeted, and a ghostly figure materialized before them. Lilith Blackwood, her ethereal form twisted and contorted with rage, fixed her gaze upon the intruders with burning intensity. "You dare to trespass upon my domain?" Her voice echoed through the chamber, sending shivers down their spines. "You shall suffer the same fate as those who came before you." Undeterred, John stepped forward, brandishing the talismans and reciting the incantations with trembling resolve. As he spoke, the air crackled with energy, and the very walls of the chamber seemed to tremble. But Lilith was not so easily defeated. With a deafening shriek, she unleashed a barrage of dark magic, hurling the Petersons across the room like rag dolls. They cried out in agony as invisible forces gripped them, threatening to tear their souls asunder. In their darkest hour, with the malevolent spirit closing in around them, the Petersons realized that their only hope lay in confronting the darkness within themselves. With every ounce of strength they could muster, they fought back against the encroaching shadows, clinging to the flicker of hope that burned within their hearts. As the darkness closed in around them, the Petersons knew that defeating Lilith would require more than just incantations and talismans. It would require sacrifice of the deepest, most profound kind. With grim determination, John and his family huddled together, their minds racing for a solution. In a moment of clarity, Sarah, John's wife, realized the only way to break the curse was to offer themselves as vessels to contain Lilith's boundless rage. "I will do it," Sarah declared, her voice trembling but resolute. "I will offer myself to Lilith, and in doing so, I will become the vessel that binds her spirit." Tears welled in John's eyes as he realized the gravity of Sarah's sacrifice, but he knew that it was their only chance at salvation. With a heavy heart, he nodded in agreement, knowing that his love for his wife and children outweighed any fear he felt. Together, they forged a plan to lure Lilith into their midst, using themselves as bait to draw her spirit close. As the chamber filled with the oppressive weight of her presence, they stood their ground, ready to face whatever horrors awaited them. And then, in a blinding flash of light, Lilith descended upon them, her spectral form twisting and writhing with boundless fury. But instead of striking out with her dark magic, she hesitated, sensing the power of their sacrifice. With a mournful wail, Lilith's spirit surged forward, engulfing Sarah and her family in an ethereal embrace. For a moment, time seemed to stand still as their souls intertwined, their sacrifice sealing Lilith's spirit within their own. As the chamber fell silent, the darkness that had shrouded Blackwood Manor began to dissipate, replaced by a sense of peace that had long eluded its halls. And though the Petersons had paid a heavy price, they knew that their sacrifice had saved not only themselves, but countless others from the curse of Blackwood Manor. In the aftermath of their harrowing ordeal, the Peterson family emerged from Blackwood Manor forever changed. Though scarred by the trauma they had endured, they carried with them a newfound sense of purpose and resilience. Word of their bravery spread far and wide, and soon they found themselves hailed as heroes within the community. But deep down, they knew that their victory had come at a great cost, one that would haunt them for the rest of their days. As they settled back into their normal lives, the memory of Blackwood Manor lingered like a shadow, a constant reminder of the darkness that lurked just beyond the veil of reality. But with each passing day, they found solace in the knowledge that their sacrifice had broken the curse and freed the souls trapped within its grasp. Years went by, and the tale of the Peterson family and their confrontation with the malevolent spirit of Lilith Blackwood became the stuff of legend. Though the mansion itself lay abandoned and decrepit, its dark legacy lived on in the hearts and minds of those who had heard the tale. But amidst the whispers and rumors, one truth remained clear. The Petersons had faced their demons head-on and emerged victorious, leaving behind a legacy of courage and sacrifice that would endure for generations to come. And though Blackwood Manor stood as a silent sentinel to their ordeal, its walls held no power over them, for they had conquered the darkness and emerged into the light once more. Years passed, and the memory of Blackwood Manor faded into the annals of history, becoming little more than a distant echo of a bygone era. The Peterson family, now grown and scattered across the country, carried on with their lives, each finding their own path forward. But despite their best efforts to leave the past behind, the echoes of Blackwood Manor lingered, haunting their dreams and stirring memories long buried. Sarah, in particular, found herself plagued by visions of the dark chamber where they had confronted Lilith, her restless spirit forever etched into her mind. Unable to shake the feeling of unease that gnawed at her soul, Sarah returned to Blackwood Manor one last time, hoping to find closure amidst the ruins of their former home. As she wandered the overgrown grounds, she was struck by a sense of nostalgia mixed with sadness, for the memories of their time there were bittersweet. But as Sarah stood before the crumbling facade of the mansion, she felt a strange sensation wash over her, a presence, faint but unmistakable, lingering within the shadows. Closing her eyes, she reached out with her senses, searching for any sign of the spirit that had once held them captive. And then, in a whisper of wind and rustling leaves, she heard it. The faint echo of Lilith's voice carried on the breeze like a distant memory. But instead of fear, Sarah felt a sense of peace wash over her, for she knew that the darkness that had once consumed them had been vanquished, its power broken by their sacrifice. With a final farewell to the place that had been both their prison and their salvation, Sarah turned and walked away, leaving behind the echoes of Blackwood Manor to fade into the mists of time. And though the scars of their ordeal would never fully heal, she knew that they had emerged stronger, their bond as a family unbreakable, and their legacy one of courage, sacrifice, and redemption.